what's up? Ken from Palm Beach Dyno here. If you have a Whipple Stage 1, this is the video for you. A lot of the times you'll see on our videos, one of the first things we do is upgrade to a Stage 2, but that's not for everyone. It's a lot of work to do it, especially on a 21 plus truck, because you have to remove the blower to get the injectors in. So Todd brought us his Rocky Ridge F150 that was already set up as a Stage 1. We're putting headers and a custom tune on it and a smaller pulley. And then we're going to see what it picks up. Of course, we're going to baseline it and show you what the gains are and see how far those stock injectors can go. Also, we've got new merch in stock, PBD hats and the Run PBD shirt. Everything is in stock, so make sure you get that ordered up. We don't have a ton of those left. All right, now let's take a look at the baseline on Todd's truck, and then afterwards, headers, tune, and a smaller pulley. How far will those injectors go? We're going to find out. All right, here's the baseline, 536, 458. Right off the bat, those are great numbers for a big truck like this, but of course, the more power, the better. So let's talk about the Stage 1 Whipple and who that's intended for and what you can do with it, and we're going to answer those questions throughout this video. The Stage 1 is a great starting point. It's a little bit cheaper. A lot of the times you can get a Stage 1 with a warranty through a dealership or other various channels that you would buy a Whipple supercharger. So that's how a lot of people wind up with the Stage 1 to begin with. Of course, for maximum power, I would always recommend a Whipple Stage 2 from the get-go. But in this case, if you have a Stage 1, we've got some answers for you coming up. So 536, 458. How high can we go? One of the biggest limitations to this setup is the injectors. Now, of course, these vehicles have dual fuel, meaning they have direct injection and port injection. So they actually have 16 injectors, and we can lean on those DI injectors a little bit more than we would maybe on a Stage 2 setup where it has upgraded port injectors. Now, the other limitation is the throttle body. On a positive displacement blower, the larger the throttle body, the better. And that's discounting any negative side effects to a large throttle body on drivability. For maximum power, it's almost the bigger the better. Now, that's not the case on all power adders, so make sure you're clear on that. A lot of times I see people repeating stuff online and they're taken out of context. The larger throttle body applies to positive displacement blowers, where you're sucking air in through the throttle body. That's when the throttle body becomes very critical. On these twin turbo F150s that you see us post all the time, those have stock throttle bodies and they're making 1,500 horsepower. So it's very, very different when you're talking about positive displacements. Okay, so now we're going to take the truck over to the shop, install long tube headers with cats, a 3.75 pulley, and then of course, Palm Beach Dyno tune. The headers are to maximize the power without changing anything. Obviously, just putting the headers on, putting it back on the dyno with no changes is going to pick up some power. But the point here is to make as much power as we can without changing the throttle body or injectors. So a lot of people might ask that aren't familiar with these trucks, why don't you want to change the injectors? Well, on 21 plus F150, you have to pull the blower off the vehicle to change the injectors, and that's due to the new design of the 21 plus F150 head that has variable displacement built in. The head's larger. It gets closer to the blower. It makes it more difficult for injector fitment. Injector Dynamics had to come out with a specific injector spacer just to accommodate the 21 plus F150. So you're just dealing with really tight, cramped space. Now, if you're doing the work yourself, it's probably not as bad. But if you're having a shop do it, that's going to add significant cost to this job. So Todd wanted to bypass that for now and do just the headers, pulley, and tune. So let's get the truck over there. We'll get everything installed and see how much power it makes. All right, we're all set up in the truck. Long tube headers and pulley change. And of course, the Palm Beach Dyno custom tune is loaded now. So let's do some pulls. Now we're talking. All right, huge gains on the very first pull. 595, 468. So we're up almost 60 horsepower. But wait, what happened down here? Well, this is just the first pull. And the tune's off a little bit down there, of course. We actually lost power below 5,500 RPM. So again, I've said this a million times in the videos, and I'm going to say it a million times more. You really need to learn how to read a dynograph if you're going to argue on the internet, or else I might pop up and show you how it's done. So, if you're just looking at these numbers, oh, 60 horsepower, that's crazy, that's great. This truck will not feel as good from a launch with this new tune, even though we're up 60 horsepower. And that's why the vehicle is here. Obviously, we're measuring horsepower for a reason. So, remote tuning is awesome, and we do a ton of that. If you need your truck tuned, of course we can do that. We tune hundreds of vehicles a month in addition to what you see here on the dyno. But this is where the magic happens. If your remote tuner is not constantly dynoing vehicles and fine-tuning their calibrations, then I'm not sure how they can maximize this stuff. Now, of course, you have draggies to reference and track times to reference, but this stuff doesn't always show up as well as you need it to on a draggy pull. Looking at each individual section of the graph is really what helps. So anyway, I'm gonna make some changes to fix this and see what happens. All right, we made some changes there. We're gonna fix the down low issue and make some power everywhere. There we go, 601. We broke 600. Don't forget, this is still a stage 1, but it's got the PVD tune and the 375 pulley and some headers, so you can make some great power. This answers the question that some people have been asking about how small of a pulley you can do on the stage 1. At least on these trucks, no problem. It depends on if the vehicle is direct injection or not. So yes, it does have the small port injection, but it has the DI injectors as well. Anyway, let's look at the graph. All right, much, much better. We broke 600 at 601 and 482. So now we're up over, 24 on the torque. The green line is up everywhere. There's a little dip up here that I don't love, so we're going to fix that here in just a minute. But now we're at 600 plus wheel, and of course, these trucks do not dyno very accurately with the huge wheel and tire combo. All we're looking at is gains, and it's still over 600. This is actually fairly impressive to me. I wasn't sure if we were going to break 600 with this, but I think we've got more to go. If we clean this up, that's going to create more peak power. The entire curve may not change very much from here, but we can make it peak better. Now, where's the step from here? The obvious next step would be injectors and throttle body and inlet tube, which is basically the stage 2 upgrade. With the same exact pulley, I suspect we can pick up another 20 to 40 horsepower. Now, what does the throttle body do if you're not changing the pulley? Well, it allows the blower to breathe much, much better, and you're gonna pick up boost. The same thing happens on stock blower, Raptor Rs, and GT500s. Once we port the blower with the same exact pulley, it's gonna make more power up top, and that's because the blower is breathing better. Until that point, once you start turning things up with the stock throttle body, there's probably a little bit of vacuum between the throttle body and the inlet of the blower, and going to the large throttle body is what makes all that extra power. It really adds boost without changing the pulley. Anyway, I think we have some more changes we can do, so let's do one more pull and see where we end up. All set for the next pull. We're probably going to leave it there. Let's go over the final results. All right, there it is. 613, 491. This one really surprised me. I didn't think we were going to quite get there, especially the overall number. The gains are awesome, but when we started at 536, I certainly didn't think we were going to get over 600. Don't forget, on these big trucks with the big heavy wheels and tires, they don't ever really dyno exactly accurate, and that's why we do a baseline. but not accounting for the differences in power and how it's measured. 613 out of this setup is absolutely incredible. So where do you go from here? With this stage one, I probably wouldn't go any further with it. We still didn't see the limit of the injector, but you have to leave a lot of headroom for weather. It's obviously really hot. It doesn't get super cool here, but even 10 or 20 degrees cooler, it's going to require more fuel because the air is denser. So, you know, this is probably a good, safe place to live. So what's next after that? Well, probably the stage 2 upgrade. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, but don't forget, if we left something out, you need more questions answered, we're here for you. We're probably one of the only remote tuners and shops in the whole entire country that have 2 people answering the phones just to help you guys out. You can call and talk to Polo and Oliver. They're awesome. Obviously, if you need a phone call with me, we can schedule that. We're here to help. We love our customers. We want to build badass cars and trucks with you guys. So give us a call at any time. And of course, if you want a phone number that rings directly to the tuning department, we offer that as our premium support option. Of course, we've got tons more content lined up for you guys, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're not a subscriber, like it, share it with your friends, get as many people onto the Palm Beach Dyno channel as you can, and we'll keep pumping these videos out for you. See you on the next one.